Here's a question for you. Which is better to chip with? An open stance, a closed stance, a square stance? What do you think? What do they all mean? Not sure? That's why you need to be listening to this video, and I'll see you after this intro. Hey there, Tiff the Lady Golf Teacher, and welcome to today's tip. Well, what we're going to be looking at is a square stance, an open stance, and a closed stance. What does that actually mean? Like if somebody said that to you. Well, I'm going to show you that. Okay, so open stance. What is really an open stance? Well, really, what it means is if you were to hit the ball towards the hole there, and we do a chip shot. I know that we're nice and close and we'd normally putt it, but we're just doing this for this example. If you were to do a chip shot and you had an open stance, what it actually means is that your feet line is actually going to be opening up to the left. So that's what happens to the right-handed golfers, is that we're opening up our body, okay? So the hips are opening up, the shoulders are opening up, everything. And when we set the club up, the club's actually going to be set nice and straight still so that we can get the ball to where we want the ball to go, okay? Now, if you were to think of a square stance, a square stance is really this, and this is actually my favourite, I must admit. But a square stance is basically the feet line going in the same direction as the club face. Nice and straight back and through. Very, very simple stance, okay? Then a closed stance is actually obviously turning the other way, okay? So you've got your feet and your shoulders, everything's closed off, but you could still turn the club face and face it the other way. Not recommended, I'll tell you now, not recommended for a chip shot if you've got a closed stance. The two best ones are a square stance and an open stance, okay? Now, what I'm going to recommend to you, have a guess. Which one should you use? Did you say open stance? Or did you say square stance? Okay, I'll tell you the answer. Square stance. Now, the reason that I love square stances is simply because it's the fundamental basic of a chip shot. Okay, because then you can do whatever you like after that. Once you've got the fundamentals in place, the basics, then you can experiment. You can have an open stance, you can have a closed stance, you can do whatever you like because the basics are there. Don't go off and go, okay, well, you know, whoever you had lessons with said, I've got to have an open stance. And if you're struggling with your chip shot anyway, don't do it. Just have a square stance, okay? And when the basics set in and you've got them in place, then you can do an open stance. But a good one to do is a square stance. So basically all that means is just making sure your feet line are going in the direction where you want the ball to go and the club face is going in the same direction. So that when you actually hit your chip shot, right, it's going to go nice and straight. That's all we want. Straight back, straight through. Feet are going in the same direction where the club face is aimed. It's as simple as that, and that's why you should be using a square stance, especially in the beginning. Once you've got things worked out, then you can go and, you know, open the club face, open your stance, experiment, see what kind of different things happen with the ball. But until that's in place, don't do it. Just have a nice square stance. Very, very simple thing. So in saying that, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are down below, and make sure those comments come in. Love to hear them. And remember this, tee it high, let it fly. Have an absolutely awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you and hearing from you soon. Bye-bye.